Hello Falcons, and welcome back to another sentence diagramming lesson. Today we're going to talk about direct objects and indirect objects again. This is lesson number 4. Alright, let's turn to a new page. Again, we're talking about direct objects and indirect objects. This is lesson 4. Remember last week when we talked about compound direct objects and compound indirect objects? Well, that word compound is back, and this time we're going to talk about compound verbs. What does compound mean again? Yes, you know it, compound. The word compound means when you have 2 or more elements. Let's look at an example of how these diagrams should be. Let's take the sentence, students read and compared schedules. Okay, step 1, when we're diagramming any sentence, find the subject and the verb. Okay, so I see my subject is students. Now what is my verb? The students read, but what else did they do? They compared. Notice that I have 2 verbs. Therefore, I have a compound verb. Okay, let's start diagramming. So, as per usual, I'll put students on the left. Now, to show that I have 2 verbs, I want to create this almost diamond-looking box. And on top, I'm going to put my first verb, which is read. And on the bottom, my second verb, which is compared. Now, what word do you notice that connects these two? Yes, you see and. And is a conjunction. It is connecting the 2. Okay, we're not done yet. So the students read and compared. Yes, they did. However, what did they read and compare? Yes. We have schedules. This is our direct object. They are receiving both of those actions. So let's go ahead and diagram this. Perfect. And I want to make a point. Notice how Miss Cyril's line does not pass the baseline on the bottom. This is intentional. I forgot to mention this, so let's just take a moment. On the left side, where we're separating the subject from the predicate, the verbs, and anything that goes with the verbs, the line goes all the way through to show that it's separate. However, over here, this is still part of the predicate. It's part of this whole piece, so we don't want to draw a line all the way through, okay, because it's not separate. Hope that made sense. Okay, now our direct object is schedules. Let's spend a moment just looking at our diagram. All the way to the subject, students, what did they do? They read and compared. What did they read and compare? They schedules. Oh well, that's not funny. Okay, next, let's do one more example. This one's going to be a little bit trickier. Let's say we have the sentence, students read a novel and told Miss King their reactions. Okay. Take this nice and slow. Let's start first by finding our subject. our subject again is students. Now, what did the students do? The students read, and where's my other verb? They told. Good. Okay, so let's start diagramming this out. On the left, I have my subject, students. And on the right, I have my predicate, including my verbs. Now here, notice because we have two verbs, we need to create a split in our diagram. On the top, we'll put our first verb, which is read. And on the bottom, we'll put our second verb, which is told. Okay, now, I just want to take a moment to compare this bottom one so far with the top one. See on the top one how we closed the diagram? Well, here we're not going to do that. The reason why is because, in our first diagram, schedules was receiving both of the actions. The schedule was read and it was compared. But let's look at our second example. What is receiving the action of being read here? It's a novel. Good. And what is being told? What's being told is the reactions. Okay, let's go ahead and add this to our diagram. They read a novel. That's our first direct object. And they told reactions. That's our second direct object. Okay, now we still have a lot of words left. A, and, Miss King, and there. Let's start seeing if we can place these. Well, let's start with Miss King. Told Miss King their reactions. So Miss King is receiving this whole piece, told reactions. So she is the indirect object in this case. She is receiving that whole action. So let's go ahead and draw that. Remember, our indirect object needs that weird slanted line and then the straight line. Okay, now what about there? What is there doing? Well, there is describing the reaction. Whose reactions? Their reactions. It's our adjective. Okay, what about and? Oh, how could we forget about and? What is and doing? It's connecting what they read to told, therefore it's going to go on our dotted line. Okay, what about A? What does A tell us? A tells us what novel. What novel, guys? A novel. All right, was that it? That was it. Let's read it back one time. So our subject, students. What did the students do? They read a well, I almost want to do it this way. The students read and told. What did they read? They read a novel. What did they tell? They told their reactions to who? Miss King. All right, y'all. This could get tricky, so make sure you look back at your notes and take your time. Good luck.